welcome back to the Spider's Web. In this video we're going to be continuing with the little bit of adjustment there for the camera. We'll be continuing with the Amazons, and we don't have much yet to do on these now as it stands, but we do have a bit to do, but not on that much, so hopefully we can get it done fairly quick. So what are we going to do to start? Let's think. Okay, first off, the quiver, the bow and the arrow heads, well, the arrow shafts rather. For that we're going to be using not that one. We're going to be using a little bit of Doombull Brown. Yep. So let's get some of that on our palette. The brush I use is that one. In fact, the spear handle is going to be done in this colour as well, because I like it, really, no other reason. So let's get a little bit of water on our brush into the colour, and we'll do the quiver first of all. I'm just doing the main body of the quiver. I'm not doing it all because I want that to be a different colour. But that came as a surprise. The reason I'm not doing all of it is because I want one bit of different colour. There we are. Okay, so we'll do the quiver and the spear handle. The actual ribbon that goes around the spear, I'm going to be doing a different colour again. Not quite sure what colour to do that yet, but seeing as I've done this not spear, the shield in a green colour, I might actually stick with that, to be honest, and do this bit of ribbon in a greenish colour. So I'm doing it slightly different than the way I've seen other people paint their minis. So that's that done. I'm just going to fast forward the next bit, because you've seen me do it once, no need to keep going over it. down to the last little bit now. The spear shaft is done. All it needs now is just the quiver, and there we are. As you noticed, I'm hoping you noticed, I made a slight mistake, or a slight accident rather, not made a mistake, where I managed to hit the model, right across the model of one of them as I was moving away from the spear. Be careful, that's all I can say. It's that one. Luckily nothing's happened there that I can't rectify, but you know, just be careful when you're doing it. It's actually caught my brush, caught my stand that I have this camera on, and that's the reason that happened. Okay, so we're going to mix some more of the flesh colour. Oh, we do have a little bit of this colour left, and I'm just going to go over this arm. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, now what we need to do is the little thing there at the top of the quiver, and that is just going to be the Rakath flesh. Quite like this colour, so I'm just going to use a little bit of that, not on that much, with a spot of the Doombull Brown. Was it Doombull Brown? Yes, Doombull Brown. Don't need a great deal because there's not a lot of it to use. So I'll just touch these areas. There's not a lot of it, so I'm not going to spend time fast forwarding and cutting out, because there's only this little bit. And last one. Right. Looking very similar to the flesh colour actually, isn't it? Very similar indeed. There we are. Right, so that's the shaft and the shaft of the spear and the quiver done. Now what we want to do is the sash on the spear, and for that I think what we could do for that one, I'm just going to keep the paints separate what I've used today, because as you may notice at the beginning of the last video when I started off, I put a list of what colours I used. I'm going to do the exact same again, so I'm just going to keep the colours to one side so I know what I've used. Next, what we have, what we're going to use is a little bit of corn red. And I mean a little bit, we don't need a great deal. We're just going to put some on the palette. And then mix in some of the Doombull Brown. Okay. and a spot of the Abaddon black that we used last time. I want to make a nice brownish blackish colour. Very dark. There we go. And we'll wash that brush out, and then this colour is going to be for the bow, and I'm assuming this is the bow. And I'll just go over all of this. It seems obvious that it is the bow, but you never know. We've got a quiver of arrows, but she's not actually holding a bow, so I'm assuming that the bow is this thing that's fitted in with the arrows for some strange reason. I don't now think that that is a bow. I think that's a sword of some description. But I'm going to use the same colour just because I can. No other reason. And once again, the around the area is exactly the same. I mean, this is one reason I'm glad it's just like a little skirmish game and not a big army, because you know, it does get, I know it does get boring after a while painting the same thing over and over again, but if you're doing this kind of thing on a small scale like a skirmish, the little skirmish faction, you don't get time to get bored. And there we have it. So I'm not really bothered about whether that's the bow or the scabbard of a sword. I just want to get painted the same colour. There we go. Next, the shield. The silver and green mix that we did in the last video. We're just going to go over that once more. I just want to make sure that it's covered. Yeah, one. See, some areas of this are a little patchy, and I want to keep at this until it's a flat colour. Because that's what I'm looking for in this. I'm not looking for a gradient, I'm not looking at a worn out shield, I'm looking for a very flat uniform colour. And because I've used the Lauren Green with the silver. What I'm going to do is the sash or the ribbon on the spear I'm going to do with plain Lauren Green, and I'll be doing that next. The colours that I used in the previous video I'm not going to add to this one. I'm just going to list the ones that I've used in this video just for this video. So if you haven't watched the first part of this video, then I would suggest you go back and watch that. The way I'd watch the finishing part of a video rather than the beginning, I don't know. Ah well. So that's that. So I'm going to use the Lauren Green now, which is that colour. Sorry, Lauren Forest, not Lauren Green, Lauren Forest. I'm going to add that to the palette. I'll wash the brush off there. We'll change brushes for this because there's a bit of I think I'll be able to get away with this brush. If not, I can go back to the smaller brush. And we'll just go around this ribbon all the way along, making sure that it's all nicely covered, and also making sure that we put the brush in the right paint. Now I've noticed at the top there should be some metal fittings there, and I've not painted, so I will do that a little later. When I do the little rings, strengthening rings around the spear shaft itself. I'm not sure whether to glue this down for a little bit of added protection and strength. Because when it's moving about like that, I've got it in my head that it's going to break fairly easily, so I don't want that to happen. So I think I may glue it down. It's a common sense thing to do. Yep. There's one done. Only finish when you the miniature or a painting in general is only finished when you say it is. You know, so just because it looks okay to other people doesn't mean to say that you think it is. And let's face it, we're all our own worst critics. So there we are. Right, what are we going to do next? Wash time. Yes, indeed. For the flesh, Reichland Flesh Aid. Get some of that. Now we're not going to give a heavy wash with these. Don't want that one. That one will do. And all I'm going to do is let's go over it. I'm going over the metal areas here as well. So make sure it's all spread about. I'm not going to go over everything with this colour. I'll try to avoid the white areas. If I can. So I'm going to do this for each miniature, and then once it's dried or near enough dried, I'm going to come back and do the whatchamacallit, the white part. But as I said, we're just concentrating on the flesh for the time being. Okay, so that's that for that wash. The next thing we're going to do is have a look at the first one. How is that looking? There's a little bit around the edges. I don't particularly want to do any more yet because I don't want to run the risk of bleeding. So what I'll do instead is, using BL Tan Green, we're going to go over the shield. And we'll go over each shield like this, and then once that's dried we'll go back over with the mix that we used. I just want to make this slightly darker. It's not as green as I was hoping it would be. I'm making it slightly darker, have a little bit more depth to it. Yeah. So around the edges of the shield there will be that little line of what we'll call shadow. And we can come back in the central areas and oh dear, what am I saying? Come back in the central areas and make them stand out a little bit brighter with this. Give it just that little bit more oomph. And that is a technical term. There we go. So that's that. I'm not going to do the ribbon around the spear. How is this looking now? That's not too bad now. So what I'm going to do is move these across and just built on green, Mythic flash shade. What I want now is, if I can find it, found it, null oil. And we just want a very, very thin wash of this. On here. No. Inside round the legs. That's where shadow's going to be. So I'm not really too concerned about it being built up there. But round the on the outside of it, I don't want it to be too heavy. I just want to tint it slightly and build up slightly in the creases. Like so. And then we'll come back and highlight this when it's all dry. So I'm going to do this now. And then when it's dry we can come back and highlight. But before I stop, I want to do the fletchings on the arrow. But now you've seen me do this particular one, we're just going to have a little bit of fast forward now while I get the others done. Okay, so coming to the end of this one. Now all I really need to do, as I say, before I launch into highlighting, we have to wait for this to dry, but there's one little bit of this model that we haven't painted as yet, and that's the fletching on the arrows. And we're going to do that next. There's just those little bits there. I'll give that a wash. And the arrow fletching will be what colour shall I do that? What colour? Nice bright colour, I think. Ooh. No, not that one, not that one, not that one. Let's see. Oh yeah. Try this one. Overland Sunset. And as we're not there's not on that much of it to do. The brush is damp. Let's just put it on straight from the pot. As you can see, it is quite watery. There we go. We'll do this for each one. And we just need now to wait for all the wash to dry. Well, we just need to wait for the black one to dry, because that is the last one we put on. And once that's dry, all the others will be as well. It can take a while for the washes to dry. So I'm just going to pause the video here, and then once it's dry we'll recommence. So I will see you in a moment once all the washes have dried. Okay.